What up, what up, what up? Hey, everybody, hope you're doing well. Hey, I just want to let you know, I know everybody can't always support and donate to the podcast, but hey, if you can do a one-time donation, I put up a Buy Me a Coffee link in this description of the podcast. So if you go to the description of the podcast, it'll be at the bottom, and you can just go to that link, and you can buy me a cup of coffee, or two if you want. And that would just help support the show, and I can wake up a little bit more and bring you more info. So thanks for listening to the podcast. If you can donate, that would be much appreciated. And let's get on to the show. What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to Lockdown Universe, home of the bizarre, peculiar, and unheard of stories of UFO legend and paranormal lore. Welcome back, welcome back. Happy to be back. Hopefully you guys are doing excellent, taking care of yourselves. So today I want to talk about the magical whistleblower David Charles Grusch, a decorated Air Force veteran who said that the U.S. is retrieving crafts of non-human origin, and everybody is losing their shit over this guy. I got another guy who did the exact same thing. His name was Sergeant Clifford Stone. He did it back in 2001, folks, during the Disclosure Project's national press conference. Okay? So this isn't new. I'm just going to throw this out there right at the beginning. You know me, I don't like to fluff up stuff. This guy isn't new. He's just another notch on the belt of many whistleblowers. Okay? Just because he got an interview with this, star interviewer in the UK or from the UK or whatever, doesn't mean he's any different than Carl Wolf from the United States Air Force, who during the Disclosure Project talked about his first-hand knowledge, not Grush's third-hand knowledge, but Carl Wolf's first-hand knowledge, visualizing, seeing with his own two eyes, the mosaic pictures that the lunar orbiter took of the backside of the moon that showed alien bases, that showed towers for communication, that showed all kinds of proof of bases on the moon. Proof with his own eyes. And then being told by the guy working on these mosaics that, yeah, I airbrush all this shit out before I send it out to the public. Okay, that's first-hand information. This David Grusch guy, this guy that everybody's putting up on a pedestal is like the Jesus of whistleblowing, he's talking about third-hand information. He's talking about higher-ups than him in these different agencies that he worked for. He worked for the NGS and another agency. I'll pull it up in just a second. But his information is third-hand, okay? I'm not saying it's not real. I'm just saying, why are we throwing this guy up on a pedestal when we've had guys like that, better whistleblowers with better detail a long time ago? Okay, so I have an article. It was written by Chris Ebert on Fox News. You know, you can say what you want about Fox News, but they're the only ones that actually made contact with the Pentagon after this whistleblower dropped his quote-unquote bombshell. So they wanted to get Pentagon confirmation, okay? So they contacted the Pentagon spokesperson to see if they're going to confirm this guy's story. And in this article talks a little bit about Grusch and what he talked about. So who is Grusch? Okay, David Charles Grusch is a decorated Air Force veteran, and he's been in multiple intelligence agencies. Okay, he came out, stated that we are retrieving and have retrieved exotic, non-human origin vehicles that have either landed or crashed. So Fox contacted Susan Go, a spokesperson at the Department of Defense, and she's their mouthpiece. She's their representative. She's like the press secretary for the president, but just for the DOD. She stated in an email to Fox News on Tuesday, that there was no verifiable information to substantiate the claims that David Grusch has made. Okay? So again, she is the mouthpiece for the Pentagon's All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, ARROW. Hearing about the Office of ARROW. That's the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, a section of the DoD that's been tasked recently with investigating and identifying unidentified anomalous phenomena, also known as what they changed from the UFO as to the UAP. Okay, the government created this phrase instead of using the UFO phrase. To date, ARROW has not discovered any viable or verifiable information to substantiate claims that any programs regarding the possession or reverse engineering of extraterrestrial materials have existed in the past or exist currently, Gao stated. Okay, so, I understand there's so many departments that are compartmentalized, but give me a break. All these departments know that there's something going on, that there is information that they're privy to, that at least some part of the government has retrieved craft, okay? So Gao stated that ARROW is working with the Office of the General Counsel and the Air Force Office of Special Investigations and has established a safe and secure process for people to come forward with information. ARROW welcomes the opportunity to speak with any former or current government employee or contractor who believes they've received information relevant to historical review. Okay, so here's the deal. Grusch, who's 36, he's a former combat officer in Afghanistan, served with the National Reconnaissance Office, the NRO, and the NGS, which was the National Geographic. I can't remember. I had to pull it up. Hopefully I can find it in this article. On Monday, he filed a whistleblower complaint to Congress and the intelligence community, the Inspector General, the ICIG, on classified information that he insists proves the recovery of partial fragments in intact vehicles by the U.S. government, its allies, and defense contractors. So it seems like this guy's not only blowing the whistle, but he's like taking it to court and saying, hey, these guys are illegally, criminally keeping this information out of our government's hands. Basically, he's making a whistleblower complaint and stating that they're keeping this information out of lawmakers' hands, out of policymakers' hands, out of Congress, out of the House of Representatives, and the President of the United States. So this is a pretty big deal. He states that the recoveries have been determined through analysis to be of exotic origin, non-human intelligence, and based on the vehicle's morphologies, the material science testing, and the possession of unique atomic arrangements and radiological signatures. Very interesting. So he says, we are not talking about prosaic origins or identities. The materials include intact and partially intact vehicles. So he said he received this information from officers that were higher up than he is. Many senior and former intelligence officers, many of whom he knew nearly his entire career, began confiding in him, providing documents and other proof that they were part of a secret craft retrieval program and that the UAP task force was not read into, meaning they were not given authorization for the information, and Grusch claimed that this was the case during a separate interview with News Nation. We're definitely not alone. The data points quite empirically state that we're not alone. Grusch told the debrief that UFO legacy programs have long been concealed within multiple agencies and nesting UAP activities in conventional secret access programs without appropriate reporting to various oversight authorities. So basically he's saying that they're compartmentalizing any information into only certain groups of the government and not giving it to the rest of the decision makers, which it should be. It should be, especially when it comes to Department of Defense, the intelligence communities, the intelligence committees for defense, the defense intelligence communities that are manned by your senators that are elected, your House of Representatives that are elected, okay? These people are on a need-to-know basis, and they're not given this information. That is illegal, okay? And so this guy's, Grush has got a point. And hopefully it will be taken to court and hopefully it will come out. And the thing about this particular case is that it's like one extra step towards disclosure and the inevitable disclosure, because we know from individuals who were part of Project Pegasus and part of using the yellow cube, the biggest fear and the biggest issue they've been working on, especially with yellow cube that can tell the future and tell you with almost 100% certainty, like 99.9% certainty, what's going to happen. And they've discovered that in the future there is a point, it is inevitable that this information will come out to the public and it will be made public, and then it's going to be a problem for the government. That is what they know. So they're trying to avoid that for as long as possible. They're trying to keep the chess game alive as long as possible by moving the king around until he eventually gets cornered. It's just an inevitability, and it's just how long is it going to take before we get there. So this is a big step. It's a big step, and I watched the interview with Grusch, and I gotta say, I'm not a fan of the way he presented himself, and I know that seems kind of surface face, kind of you could say what you will, judgmental or whatever, but like there's a video on YouTube where a psychologist, and I watched it too, a psychologist evaluated his facial expressions and his body language. And there was some questionability, like pursing of the mouth at certain times when he was given certain information. But then there were other confirmation facial expressions that did confirm, that he was being honest about the alien presence, the alien craft they were recovering, and so on and so forth. So, I mean, it just seemed like in the interview he was kind of like bouncing his head a lot around, and just kind of like, he was just like maybe nervous, and maybe he had to like constantly evaluate exactly what he was saying without giving away too much or illegally giving out information that he was bound underneath a non-disclosure agreement to. So, but you gotta imagine that he's bound by a non-disclosure agreement to saying, hey, we're picking up, these alien craft, right? So it's kind of confusing. It's like, he can say this, which clearly has to be illegal or against, their policy, for which he could be criminally charged. But he's not going any farther in saying, any more information, so I think this interview could have gone longer. I think he could have said more. And if you're putting yourself out there and your name is out there, your face is out there, he didn't cover his face with any blackout. He didn't cover his voice with any, voice modulator. He put his name out there. He put his face out there. And his life now, it could be at risk, or his freedom could be at risk, or his career could be at risk. I think he did end up leaving, actually. So I guess the career thing isn't a big deal. He left the military. But, it's... He's 36. Did he make enough money to retire? Are they going to give him a pension based on the fact that, he gave out this information? Is he not under a non-disclosure agreement anymore? I would imagine that those have to go on for forever. So, what did you see the interview? What are your thoughts? I think that he might not have been the right guy to come out and give all this info. And who is the right guy? Tough to say. I mean, like, you want somebody that seems honest, seems legit. This guy's eyes were bopping all over the place. His head was like kind of bopping all over. He seemed like almost like an actor, but I can still kind of believe him, because if he was nervous about giving this information out, and like, how would people take it? How would the interviewer take it? If it was me, I would try to be as straightforward as possible, giving the facts not trying to bounce all over the place. I would try to be, keeping eye contact, not moving my mouth around, not trying to purse my lips, but just try to be as honest as possible. And maybe he had to do that because he was trying to avoid breaking his NDAs. I don't know. So, here we are. We just had, in the last podcast, one of the most amazing alien encounters in recent history down in Nevada with the two 8 to 10 foot tall aliens in the family's backyard. Imprints left by the aircraft. Video potentially showing their fingers through the fence and their eyes through the fence, the aliens' eyes through the fence. We might potentially have that. There was a video on the internet breaking that down if you want to look at that. It's a very fun, interesting time that we're in. I'm kind of excited. I don't know as if the alien, agenda is being more broadcast lately for a particular reason, or if we're just getting more and more people coming out and more people pushing for the truth because people want to know. I don't know. Or people are starting to feel guilty. I don't know. But we're getting more info, and that's all we can be happy for. And there's a lot of people who are at the end of their life. They're getting towards the end of their life. I've been hearing people nonstop who I've talked to and seen it on the internet. They're all like, hey, I'm 55, or I'm 65, or I'm 75, or I'm 80, and I've been waiting for these moments to come out, and hopefully they'll get real confirmation soon. Hopefully we all will. And that's what we're working towards. So, anyway, guys, I know I've talked enough, even though it only seems like it's only been 16 minutes. It feels like I've been talking for 30. We can always talk about these stories for longer. But, when it boils down to it, I like to get down to the facts. I like to get cover the basics and then kind of see what makes sense to me personally and bring that to you. So, interesting stuff. Maybe we're in a flap right now. That's what they call it, a flap, a UFO flap of just constant witnessing of UFO craft, of aliens in certain areas, and more information popping out of those areas too. So we'll see, man. We'll see. I hope you guys are enjoying this. I'm enjoying it, and I'll continue to bring you podcasts with good information as I come across it. I hope you guys are having a fantastic week, a fantastic day. Thanks to those who are contributing at Buy Me a Coffee. I appreciate that. My coffee machine is down, and I appreciate the coffee. So thank you for listening. Thank you for donating. Thank you for being here, and please continue to support. I appreciate you guys just by coming by and just listening. Thanks again, and I will see you next time. Take care of yourselves physically, spiritually, emotionally. Follow through on your hobbies and your goals and your dreams. And as always, continue to question the universe around you. Until next time, guys, take care. Lockdown Universe out.